Hold on, go.
Good morning, Greg Judy. I'm Rich Whelan. I'm a retired large animal veterinarian from Troy, Pennsylvania, 40 years a dairy practitioner. And we were just discussing how there's so much life in the soil right now. Here we are the 15th of January, and there's clover just happy and in the midst of things showing greenness and life. And we were conjecturing about why that may stay so vibrant and alive in an environment that's been down below below 20 Fahrenheit.
Right, we've had single digit temperatures here.
Single digit.
Yep.
Today it's nice and warm, obviously.
Yes.
We're not wearing a lot of clothes.
Right.
But it's alive and well. It's got the blanket of the grass around it.
Yes.
Around it to protect it, but it's sticking up through it. But the other thing that we got thinking about is every one of these cows, steers, heifers, has a rumen with all the bugs in there that are also heating the cow because of the life inside their rumen. And in Greg's soil was such a vibrant life layer in the soil, that's got to be generating its own life heat.
Correct.
Also keeping it from freezing down so hard. So even in the winter here, we kick back one of these cow pies, and at the bottom of there are worms sticking up through.
Yep.
And you know, for as cold as it's been,
there's one right there.
yeah, as cold as it's been, it's amazing that right at the surface in the January,
There's another one.
to have that kind of life right at the surface.
Yeah.
And that life just transfers right over to these cows. And look at the condition these guys have. And look at the social attitude they have. I'm a stranger. These cows have never seen me. They've never seen me, and they are absolutely content. Absolutely.
There's nothing that has run off from you.
Absolutely content. And
As a vet, when you look across the health of these animals, what do you see as far as like hair coat and body condition? Do they look pretty healthy to you?
so, as a large animal veterinarian, you know, I spent a lot of time focused on the detail, the fine things. And I think I missed the forest for looking at the individual trees at times. These guys are the picture of health. The picture of health. And,
Wow.
and you know, you look out across here, and I used to spend a lot of time looking for scars on eyes for pink eye, and I'd be looking for places where there were ringworm, and I'd be looking for tail tips that are gone from ergot, and you just be looking for the fine things. You'd be looking for teats that have been frosted off. You'd been looking for foot rot and dissimilarity in feet sizes and poor gait. None of that shows even remotely.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just the picture of health.
Well,
A picture of health.
I think, you know, as a producer, I'm looking at these animals every day, and that's my job, I think, is to keep them in this kind of condition. And, you know, we don't, I think I told you at our grazing school, I met you at our Albany grazing school
Yeah, we were
this winter.
Yep.
And, you know, just talking about how we don't worm our animals. Do these animals look wormy to you?
Now, in the beauty of breaking parasite cycles so that you don't have to deal with it is beyond a dollar value. It just makes the entire ecosystem, the entire environment cow friendly or animal friendly. We are struggling as an industry. Sheep,
Yes.
beef, goats, parasites are killing us.
Yes.
And if you can do a natural system that puts no inputs except good management,
Yes.
it's just a huge win-win-win.
For everybody.
Everybody.
Yes.
Everybody.
The animals, the land, The meat, the consumer?
You know, there'll be somebody says, you know, I'm making my living producing anthometics, and that's going to be hard on my living. And as you move around and look, way people have made their living has changed so many times in our lifetimes, but if you look back over the last couple hundred years, it's happened and happened and happened. But if you want to have a living that is not detrimental to future generations, then any of those increments of things that are toxic that we can drop from our list of things that we have to do on the planet are enormous, enormous.
It just makes not only economical sense,
Makes
but
wonderful human sense. Why not have an environment where everybody can thrive?
exactly.
Animals, plants, people, the whole ecosystem, everything around it.
Well, what would be your response to somebody that, if you got in a dialogue with them, that these animals right here are destroying the environment?
So everything has a bigger cycle, something that's beyond what you just see. So these cows absolutely belch methane. It's absolutely positive, and there's no way that we can prove that they are not. They are. But in the big scheme of how the system works, the ability for these cows to take the solar energy that's been placed into the grass, convert it into food, fiber, and then recycle their products back onto the soil to keep the cycle going. Even the methane part of that, even though we know it's a lot more active than CO2 in climate change parameters, even the methane has a cycle that is accounted for on the positive side of the ledger with the big picture of what they're accomplishing. Soils across the planet are losing organic matter and vitality and the ability to absorb moisture. And those are the incredibly big issues that the world needs to solve.
Exactly.
And
Do you
these
think
guys are integral in solving that?
Yes.
One of the best ways. And I've just driven from Pennsylvania this far. I'll continue to drive across the United States. And we have some wonderful soil resources, some wonderful landscapes. But we have, across most of what I've driven, degraded the ability of those soils to really do what they want to do. And that is absorb water as it falls, allow it to percolate down and be used locally, fill the aquifers, keep the groundwaters, prevent flooding, prevent all the dark water. I just came across the Missouri, and the Missouri is dark.
Yeah.
And
Where's that ending up at?
that's ending up down in the Gulf.
Yep. Where they don't need it.
Where they don't need it. And we need our soils.
You mentioned
whole
last
planet.
night you spent the night out on the prairie where there's a lot of row crop around you, and we've had 4 inches of rain. Where was that water at? Was it soaked in, or was it sitting on top of the fields?
So I sat at a like a roadside parking area, park and ride, beautifully flatly planed parking area, but the fields right by it were that same flat topography, beautiful to farm with a tractor and a plow and a disc, but there's no soil cover on them, and there's puddling all the way across those fields. And I went out and looked, it's just not percolating down in. And the little runoff ditches are full of sediment.
Yep.
And full of really dark, muddy water.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not working. And the first couple little creeks you pass there, Every turn of the creek is a big wash of soil.
Yep.
And
Well, when you stepped out here on our pasture just a minute ago, the first thing you said when you walked into the pasture and you saw this, you were amazed. You know, there's no puddling. The water's gone.
yeah,
It's soaked in.
It's soaked in.
It's soaked in.
It's just perfect.
Yep.
Just perfect.
Well, I want to thank you, and I want you to state your name again.
Greg, I'm Dr. Richard Whelan from Troy, Pennsylvania, retired veterinarian, and I want to thank you for the opportunity to see Greg's operation. And I want to put a shout out to men like Gabe Brown,
Absolutely.
who led me to Greg Judy's operation.
Yep.
And I want to thank them. I think they're world heritage thinkers.
Yep. Well, Gabe's got a great saying, and it goes like this: unless you fail at least one thing a year, you're not trying enough new things. And I love that quote.
I do too.
And I think we all need to think outside the box. And of course, Gabe is on the frontier of that. And I love what he's done.
You are too.
Well, thank you, Richard. And I think I'm going to end up with that. We're standing in a beautiful day here in January 15th. The cows are still grazing and everything's healthy, and we're healthy and happy watching them. Everyone have a great one.